Ooh, hello, everybody.
Hi.
I think we're live. Great, we are. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Concordia Consularis, the Spiritual and Business Agency of Peace. Welcome, everybody. Do like, subscribe. If you would like to book a session, please do so on the links below. And for now, we're just going to delve into a new spiritual court of equity this week regarding the evolution of all beings here on planet Earth I can't even think of the word, dear me, in a pre-cognitive voyage into how we're going to make changes to our being here on the planet in advance of the oncoming times. So welcome, Harrison. How are you doing?
Hi, Angela. I'm doing fantastic. It has been a wonderful time where I am, and I'm looking forward to the session today, where we are going to look at the evolution of the souls and how our ancestors and each and every single soul on the planet is preparing, anticipating on what is to come, because there are so many changes that are happening in the planet, and in accordance with the way or the actions that we do here in the now, that's what will determine our future generations, what they are going to find. And if we could make this journey more easier, more happier, and more fun along the way, and they can pick up the mantle as they come and proceed to make or create or proceed with what we have started here by making the planet a better place to be in.
That sounds perfect. I might need to turn my camera off at various points because I don't feel the signal is that great at this end. So just letting everybody know that. Now, would you like to engage and activate the spiritual courts of equity?
Yes, definitely. As of now, we proceed to open the courts, and we invite each and every single person or soul that is already incarnated on this planet. We proceed also again to invite Mother Earth to come here and sit with us in this court, and also all our ancestors, or our star family beings to come and sit us here in this court. And the purpose of this court is to look at the contracts of each and every single person, if they are in agreement with the kind of agendas that are being planned or are being implemented as we speak of, and whether they sign up to what is to come, and to make sure that each and every single person free will is honored in the way it's supposed to be.
For each
Angela,
individual, yeah.
yes, yes.
So everybody would have incarnated on this planet with a specific trajectory and pathway that had been created by them to live and engage on the planet and live and evolve and be part of this whole consciousness drive into something better for each individual journey, the national journey, the community journey, but also the global journey. So here, with all ancestors present, I would like to invite all star elders, of all races in consciousness, but also those that aren't. And this is more like a cultural council to see how, what help the humans on Earth need in order to evolve with their natural blueprint technology. So we're just highlighting all that. These last few years have been particularly poignant, giving people the space within themselves to consider where they are at on their individual journeys, but also as a collective, as part of the law of one. So here, if you can just discuss with the ancestors here and the star beings, what needs to take place in this moment at this point in no time, deep space, no time.
What I'm being told is that we need to look at the fine print that is being inserted in each and every single person's contract. These are contracts that sidetrack or take the person away from the original purpose that that person intended to come on this planet and experience. And this is how this whole show or agenda is built upon, by putting in this fine print. And this is what is being looked into, because it's a huge, or it's an elephant in the room that nobody wants to touch, but it affects each and every single person.
So who wants to? Who wants to be responsible? Let's have a look at this. Or let's have a look at who is responsible for the insertion of the fine print. Let's just bring them into the court. And if you're watching this right now, do leave a like, comment.
Yes, definitely love to hear
We'd
from
really like the channel to grow. We really would, and we need your help to do it as part of the collective.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And as I look, I'm seeing this is a very, very old strategy that has been used on this planet for eons and eons. And because people have come into this planet over and over and over again through the same process, they have normalized an absurd kind of a way to come into the planet and make it natural until they are numb to what is happening, but it's very detrimental to the people. And this, I'm seeing it has its roots from the archons, who some of them oversee the contracts as people are being incarnated, who have a link to the multidimensional beings who have a very strong stakehold on what is happening here on the planet, plus other players that are interlinked or are shareholders at different levels.
Exactly. So could you just very briefly perform a market assessment on these beings?
What's coming up is that these beings hold themselves in the highest regard in terms of they think they are superior to the rest of the people. They can
Mm.
do whatever they want because what are you gonna do? They are superior, they are powerful. And they just see it as a game they are playing. So whatever they want to implement, it comes in form of these fine prints that they insert in each and every single person who's been born on the planet, and they will never know that these contracts were inserted there. And most importantly, I'm being told to look at something else, and I'm trying to pick up what that is. But I'm getting this form of anger, form of being disgusted, form of chest thumping, and form of pride and ego. I can only describe what I'm in terms of emotions because this is what is being presented to me.
Yes. And just keep following the thread in your own personal consciousness, because this is key. So I'm going to ask a question here. Why do they hate original humans so much? Yes, there is the cultural element. Yes, there is human envy of the technology. But what is the personal element here? The personal grudge, the personal act of revenge. And that's throwing a bit of a sideball into the spiritual court of equity here today, because it's a sense of unfinished business. And if you get the sense of the being with who is actually responsible for the direct insertion of fine print into the soul contracts, the individual contracts, the group contracts, they're really not happy about what we're doing, investigating them individually in this moment. What is your perception?
There was this being that looked like it has a human face, but it has tentacles spread all over, and it's like the way it's managing its thing, but it looks gross and
Nice.
yeah, that kind of stuff. This is what I'm seeing. But and to go earlier to the previous question that you have asked, where this grudge came from, some of these beings consider themselves as Asians of Asians or originators of whatever things they think they have created.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment the humans came into the picture, humans were able to do things way different. They had a spark of source within themselves, and given the knowledge or the level that soul was at, and the technology or the bodysuit they were habitating at that point in time, they could do things these other beings that had been in the universe for eons couldn't do. And this was one of the things that made them become jealous. And since they knew humanity was a young race at that time, that's why they did what they did to make sure that they broke it, dismantled it, recreated it in their own image. And they are still doing it to this very day, where they are creating better suits for themselves, but leaving scraps and crappy kind of suits for the rest of the souls who can be manipulated, harvested, and redirected into whatever energy they want to do or siphon off.
Right. So here we have a siphoning off of gifts and skills of each individual soul, abilities, skill sets, capabilities, and so on. Fascinating. So here we go into the areas of experimentation. Because if it's affected the bodysuit, the skin suit technology, the functioning aspect of that, an individual's never going to follow their light trajectory. So I'm just going to put that up forward in the spiritual court of equity, all experimentation that has left to the ideology, that has left the ideology imprinted in the individual soul contracts of others to cause harm and misdirection, which is not truth, the truth of evolution and how we develop ourselves, our inner conscience as awakened beings of pure light and pure source. So all of that into spiritual court of equity. I expect them to undo those impacts. Our people are working with them.
Yeah, I'm also being told this concept of the person with the bigger gun rules the rest. And this is something they have been using for eons. As long as you have the bigger gun and you can implement this agenda or this kind of an ideology among the people where there's no love between people. There's this psychopathy kind of vampiristic kind of nature in people where they backstab each other, backbite one another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is the kind of an agenda they use, and then they bring the bigger guns to that population so that that grouping of people can go to the rest of the people who are living in harmony to spread the system of domination and control and subvert their culture. They erase the history and they capture the kids to re-educate them, and they kill the older generation. And this
Yeah.
has been something they have been doing over and over and over again.
Yes, it's this removal of elder wisdom. It's the same old, removal of the storytellers, removal of the grandparents, removal of the wisdom to replace with a digital agenda of control. So there is a huge abuse cycle here, and it's one that keeps perpetuating itself through the free will of individuals on their soul journeys, which was never really intended to be so destructive, because who is learning? So I just want to bring that up in Earth's templates as part of her own regeneration system. Now you can feel her frequency. Can you describe the frequency of Earth, the soul of Earth at this moment, please?
I'm feeling this vastness or hugeness of calmness. It's vast. It's like an infinite kind of love that's beyond expression, but it's very calm, kind, but it has authority behind it, where if it wants to implement anything, it doesn't need to ask permission from anybody. It can do it. And I'm getting this kind of feeling that it has been waiting for this to be done for so long. And it's putting its energy behind what we are doing, so that even after we are logged off from this recording, this ideology or these seeds are watered, they are protected, and they grow and spread to each and every single person. And also, I'm not giving it away, but for what is to come in the near future, and Earth Mother is very aware of what's happening, and what we are doing is one way to counteract what's gonna happen.
Exactly. And there are huge cycles involved here. We've come out of an old phase of being. So what I want to do, I want to connect to the law of one. And we're bringing in our ancient Atlantean energies here. And just feeling those connections from an ancestral perspective.
I was getting,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I was getting this culture that it's very ancient, and it has these boats that they float on the surface, and they are there with their children. They are just exploring. I'm getting this image of Moana while she discovers a tribe is an explorer tribe, but that history had been hidden from her. So at that point of realization, so this is a kind of imagery that I'm perceiving right now.
Right. Because it refers to a time period where it all began, and where, let's just say, the misdirection began to occur with the flow of the waters, the elements, where everything began to be misused, and people were being disconnected from the cosmos.
Yes, definitely.
So they could not find their way home. They were lost at sea, which refers to the maritime structure of domination and control. Well, that's an interesting mix in the spiritual court of equity today. It's like, right, that's not going to be an easy one. So let's just start to just excuse me, as she chokes on the energy. As we move through that, because that is difficult. And we're talking about void space here as well. So let's just get that resolved. Because there's a huge banking off of time, cycles, abuse, evolution, a heady mix of confusion, devastation, uncertainty, not knowing. And we could really do with remedy and resolve for that, for every single living being and the future generations of Earth. So I'm just requesting super speed with all of this. We're going back pre-giant, pre-floods. And interesting how we were discussing this crack and crevice that's building, separation occurring in Africa. Here we are. All roads lead back, don't they? So funny. So let's just, right, while that's all being resolved and taken, let's just examine what's happening there in Africa with that huge crevice that seems to be developing on the surface of Earth.
I'm getting these images or this information where while most people are talking of ancient Remulia and ancient Atlantis, they always talk it as if there were these places in the middle of the ocean that capsized, and we can no longer find them in our current realities. But but the information that I'm getting is that Africa, at that point of Remulia, it was one of biggest civilization that was there, and was quite key into what the culture was back then and what was implemented, whether it's technology they developed, whether it was spirituality, whether it was everything. It was at the heart of that culture. And this was later transferred into the Atlantis or Atlantean, whatever the time period or the time frame. And those things can be interchanged because of the time wars that have happened here. But what is the dominant factor is that Africa has played a crucial part in the evolution of those cultures, and other cultures after those had fallen. And because of the Westernization or the changing of the history that have been happening, and people being directed to look away from the truth, they can see what is in Africa. And some of these fault lines that are appearing, I'm getting the information, we might think it's the continent splitting into two, but it isn't in some way. It might be a way of revealing what is beneath, because what is hidden within the African continent, if that is allowed in the mainstream culture that is out there, things would not be the way they are right now.
Exactly. So here we have a power source, power resources. And when you even just strip back, because we can't even, I mean, I can't right now talk about this or give a reference point into fraud years. I'm not going to do that. But once upon a time, there was a supercontinent. So I'd just like to look at it from that geographical perspective, because the geography here is key. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a bit of a different angle. Hopefully this will fast track things, and we will bring in all inhabitants from Pangaea, the supracontinent, in original form. Right, and that's going to move through a lot faster because it's very easy to get dragged into the energy of the suppression and the control and the domination and the whole cycle of misdirected evolution. When you look at the inhabitants, oh God, lots of energy is moving here. When you look at the inhabitants of Pangaea and the descendants of true Earth, how do you feel then? What are your feelings about them?
The first image I saw was the image of a buffalo, and there was this kind of snowy, good feeling that was there. And then at the other end, there was this huge waterfall.
Yeah.
It looks like the land that we have here that is not habited by people, it's left to nature. That kind of a feeling of waterfall, water gushing out, calmness, peacefulness. And I can see people who are here, they look like farmers, but they are very peaceful with the way they are farming their land. They have an understanding, because as much as we may know of Remulia, they still use some of techniques that we have borrowed from them, like animals in farming, and they had an understanding. It's not like they were overworking these animals. It was like they had an understanding between one another, where they both assisted in tilling the land so that they could produce this kind of food that they wanted to feed the population that was
Exactly.
So
we have various principles here. We have telepathic instant knowingness and connection, of instantly knowing what to do in line with the cycles and the harmonies of Earth. Demeter methods that were passed on still to this day and used. But let's just have a look at their light frequency. How do you perceive their light?
It's a light that I can describe because it looks unique. It has whitish in it, it has bluish in it, it has, in terms of feeling, it feels calming, relaxing, soothing, something that you can trust as it speaks,
Mm-hmm.
something that you can look forward to and protect and allow that kind of light to flow and grow within the cultures that are there.
So they could live harmonically and synergistically with others, with other communities, with the earth itself. So let's just put into the spiritual court of equity, let's bring forward the person who, or being, that inserted the fine print into the spiritual contracts that kept them away from that kind of living and evolving into the future. And then I know that somebody just threw down everything. That being not happy, they got out of their pram trying to go crazy like a toddler.
Yeah, I'm getting this image of a preacher, and the vision that I'm being given is that there's this indigenous culture that has never had an interaction with anybody outside of their culture zone. And then there's this outsider who comes in with a different way of thinking, a different way of
doing. Are you talking about
believing.
colonialization here? Colonialization ideology?
Yeah, that's more of it that it's looking like.
So let's have them all in right now, because we're going to get them to move this fast. Colonial thinking on the indigenous population that took them away from their natural existence in synchronicity and synergistic living with earth, robbing the natural way of the soul path.
Yeah, and I'm also being reminded is that with the way the cultures were at that time, the evil ones or the dark souls or whatever that was that at that time was not allowed to magnify to a level that it could suppress the other side so that it could not express itself. And then with the incoming of this other force, they found a way of being collaborators, sellouts, and those became the biggest threat to the cultures. And that is how every single culture fell.
Exactly. So this is really good stuff. And while that is clearing through, I'm just going to say a huge hello and a thanks to all those that have joined us in the chat room. We have Roger White, we have the lovely Sammy Beattie, Vilna van der Kolf, Michael. You know, it's really, I'm just so grateful that you joined us for this voyage. And, you know, and thanks for being part of it and supporting this really important work, even when we are censored and led off into the pit of YouTube. Just so grateful for you all. And thank you, because we can tangibly feel your support in this spiritual court of equity. So when we all connect in this way, it brings more power and strength, because every single one of you is representing a different line of ancestral her story, your own story, but what you're bringing here is an extra added frequency of light in physical conscious form, and we are really grateful for that. So thank you very much for joining us and supporting us. So how does that look when you review all the contracts for the soul groups, Harrison?
Well, some of them are very happy that this issue is being pointed out, but others have been using this way as a conniving tool to maneuver their agendas and whatever thing they want to implement. And they are not quite happy because they believe in secrecy and in doing what they do in the shadows, because that's the only way they can be able to achieve some of these agendas they are implementing.
Yeah.
And the moment you bring the angle of free will, they say they do tell us in each and every way they find, but being physical incarnates of this planet, we do know, being told is one thing, but understanding is another different thing. And the way they speak, it's like in riddles and in fun or kids movies, and you can't use that. But since there's no contract that was put in the beginning of time on the way they have to express some of these agendas they implement, they find loopholes, things to bypass or backpass or whatever they do to show some of these things.
So I'm just showing those cultures something, actually. I'm just showing them that they're just like the interlopers here on Earth. And why would they want to be perpetuating their cycles in order to push the agenda of their own forward? Because actually what you've done is created a loss of self and a loss of cultural identity. Because if you're using a false system of light to imprint into the culture, into the family structure, then that light trajectory will never be at its full magnificence.
What I'm seeing is that they have this sense of competition, but it's not in the way we would think a healthy competition is. It's a competition that is the winning group gets to crush, the underdogs, as they are referring them. And this is the kind of thinking and mentality they have. Once they're able to dominate you, they can remodel you in whatever shape or idea they feel or they want, to put it in the way they have written in the records, creating people in their own image. So this is where they get the phrase from.
Oh, God. Yeah, look, I just want to bring to the spiritual core all underdogs. I love underdogs. Come on. We're going to sort of just expand here this moment. All underdog restrictions being lifted at soul level, physical level, and through all 9 bodies within. And just, really enjoying watching and observing those rise, as beings rise and expand. Let's do this.
What I'm seeing is that there are a lot of contracts being signed off and being sealed off. So there are some things that are being resolved quite quickly. So this is what I'm being shown, being signed off, sealed off, and archived. And
Perfect. No longer in use.
Yeah, so, and some of these beings are just ranting and ranting and ranting on, going on and on of how they have assisted humanity to evolve in this way or that kind of a way, or whatever they have, they think the evolution should look like. But the moment you connect with the emotions and feeling, all you get is a feeling of pain, of fear, of not knowing. It's just a kind of a state that you'd not want to be in for a long time, because it's chaotic and it's what gonna this kind of mental states bring diseases to humans if they stay in them for quite a long time.
Right. Now, in the spiritual court, I'm going to just maintain a level of peace, but it is peaceful warrior time. So I've just said no more. Use the words no more. And I'm just letting them know, showing through our own evolutionary expansion, the old ways, things that degenerate the soul, issues, problems, blockages, patterns, ones and zeros will not be tolerated. And so there will be no more. And is there a response at that?
I'm getting that the magicians have been called in, and I'm also hearing the term the stage has been set. So looks like everything is going into perfection, and every single soul is internalizing what next. You know, this phase has been done. What next?
Just checking or double checking, you know what I'm like. Now we have three major emotions here. We have fear, servitude, and then we've got the element of free will. So we need to look at the fear and the servitude in the soul group collectives in the law of one. We're just going to go for it in one big go. Fear and servitude out of the law of one, and those who hold that frequency of evolution.
Ooh, the religious faction isn't liking
Yeah.
any of that.
You know what? On my journey personally, I'm bored of hearing about this one objecting and that one objecting, you know. So we need a new breed of spiritual court of equity, non-cynical beings. Anyway, so their opinion is irrelevant at this point. It really is, because they're implementing their free will and using it to basically smash universal laws that were present for the benefit of every single soul on the planet and in this universe. So really, those times have gone with those religious, because it's religious conversion that has been popping its head up during this spiritual court of equity. And that comes in many different forms. That comes from mind control, that comes from spiritual control, interference with the spiritual contracts. It actually comes into the areas of human conversion into, let's say, AI and other digital constructs and transhumanism. It comes into warring. So there's a whole big, you know, it's not just one thing when you're discussing that subject of religious conversion. It's huge. And that's not even including what the residues on the robes of those that individually manifest those systems on Earth. So it's quite interesting how religious conversion has come into it, because recently we've seen various issues with the Dalai Lama, we've seen papal issues, we've heard of statements, we've seen churches dissolve before our very eyes, and that includes the Church of England. There must not be anybody left really apart from the stalwarts of it. So let's just, people just don't believe anymore in those things. So let's just ensure that they instinctively know, intuitively, that they are supreme creator consciousness.
I'm getting there's this tune Mother Earth is playing, and every single soul on the planet will tune it in its own way.
Beautiful.
And from there, they can be able to access these codes, this form of knowingness, and they can be able to make their own free will from that perception on what to choose, whether to allow the system of domination and control to proceed with what it's doing or choose to create something else. It's all in the hands of every single soul that's here in this court, and that's also incarnated on the planet.
So I'm going to add into that, because there's a real creationary aspect here that no system can interfere with once it's in operation. And that is the frequency of love, and unconditional love cannot be broken by any negative frequency, thought, conversion tactic, manipulation, or mind control tactic. So just ensuring that that is at the core of that free will process, unhindered by any spiritual contract. So how does that feel now?
Ah,
Changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm getting this sort of sense of joy, happiness. Everybody's happy in this court. It looks like, other than the people who are benefiting from the system of domination and control, we can say 99.99% of the people in the court are very, very happy.
Great. So we just want to expand on that. So in that moment of creationary love, of free will, and of beingness, let's just activate expansion and growth and evolutionary cellular-based technology. And I'm not going to do this. I'm just facilitating it. But it's going to be done by all prime creators at soul level. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it looks wonderful. Being shown these images of plants growing, transforming from a seed into a 3-day-old plant. And this is what is happening in each and every single person's at the soul level.
So we're just going to nurture that as one.
Things are are moving quite fast, very,
Oh,
very fast.
beautiful, beautiful. So could you just give me a synopsis of what's happening in the court and what stage of completion we're at?
I'm getting this sense of a red carpet being rolled for the achievements of the court that has been done, and it's quite fast because I'm picking it at 98% of resolution, and it's a metaphor for the stages already set for what is to come.
Exactly. Great. Got you. So we're just going to finalize, is it being signed off and ready?
Yeah, everything is signed off, stamped, sealed. Everybody seems happy. It looks like the person who is doing the archiving is quite fast. And yeah.
Great. That's wonderful news. So at this point, I will say to those that may tune into the future, do leave a like, comment, interact with us. We love you. This is all about how we progress and evolve together. If you would like a retreat, contact me on the links that will be below eventually, because we are live and I haven't updated it because I'm doing this. If you would like a session, also please get in contact. This will dramatically shift any past impacts of that earring out, ready, gone, to help your soul's journey and relieve you of the impacts from the 4 previous teacher worlds, which is huge on this earth today. And we provide different types of spiritual resolution, whether it's at a corporate business level, a personal level, individual level, or ancestral level. All of those things, issues, impacts from time, we can help you resolve those so that your infinite voyage is clear into the future generations here on earth. And I have to say that. It's really good stuff. So thanks to everybody that has joined us on this voyage. We will be back next week. We will have a special surprise for you all. And we look forward to bringing that. Excuse me, she says, before next week. Know what's coming. So any final words today, Harrison?
I think I'm happy with the court, with what we have done today.
Great.
And I do appreciate each and every single person who has joined us. Thank you for the like, thank you for the comment, and keep subscribing, keep liking our material so that we can continue producing more. And much love and peace to everyone.
Sí, excelente. Lasso Komati. So do join us next week. Thank you very much, everybody. We love you all, and we're going to love each and every voyage even more. So see you next time, my darlings.
Bye-bye.